Hello and welcome. I'm Leanne Gerrans and you're watching W News, broadcasting live from the AlArabiya headquarters with a special program on Syria. The country's new leader, Ahmed Al-Shara, has given a wide-ranging interview to the network where he discussed and outlined many critical issues, including the length of the transition period in Syria and regional security. These are our top headlines. In an exclusive interview, Syria's new leader tells AlArabiya elections will be in 4 years. Rebuilding relationships across Syria is also top priority for the new leader as he confirms talks with the SDF to resolve the crisis in the northeast. And Al-Shara praises support from Saudi Arabia, saying the kingdom has major investment opportunities in the country. Let's turn our attention to Syria's relationship with Arab and Gulf countries. The Syrian leader points out that the latest events spared a major regional war, calling the current stage in Syria historic. Al-Shara says Israel had planned to enter Syria, which would have led to Iran's involvement, dragging in Iraq and then also Turkey.
My assessment of this phase is that it marks a significant historical turning point in the region. The area was on the verge of a large-scale regional war. There was talk of Israeli intervention in the region and in Syria, with claims that it would be the largest war following Gaza and Lebanon. This was a real possibility, because if Israeli forces had entered Syria, it would have inevitably prompted the Iranians to involve Iraq in countering this advance. Consequently, Turkey, feeling deeply concerned about the Israeli advance, would likely take positions, in my view, against the Israelis and aligned with the Iranians. This situation would undoubtedly be exploited by Russia to divert attention from the war in Ukraine, leading to inevitable American reactions.
Now he stresses that the swift war to topple the Assad regime secured the region and the Gulf states for the next 50 years.
The swift war ensured the security of the entire region from these potential threats and fundamentally secured the Gulf's safety for the next 50 years. It also safeguarded Turkey's national security, Syria's national security primarily, and the security of the region as a whole.
Al-Shara has also indicated that Saudi Arabia is seeking stability in Syria. He adds that the kingdom has a major role in the future of the country.
The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is striving to bring stability to Syria. They will also be partners in the developmental efforts we are pursuing. While Syria is indeed a devastated country, it also represents a significant investment opportunity for all neighboring countries capable of implementing strategic projects with substantial returns that will benefit these nations. I am proud of everything they have done so far. Delegations came to us to pave the way for starting new relations and building balanced strategic partnerships with Saudi Arabia.
And I'm pleased to say joining us now is the chairman of the Gulf Research Center, Dr. Abdulaziz Sager. Good evening to you, and thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening to you. Very pleased to be here with you tonight.
Thank you. Yes. So, first of all, what did you make of Ahmed Al-Shara's statements as one of the most prominent strategists in the region yourself?
Well, first, I must admit I was very pleased with the way how he answered some of the tough questions that AlArabiya journalist Tahir Baraka put him through. He really interrogated him with all the questions and the tough questions that it may not have all the answer at this stage. But however, he came out quite calm, precise and structural in his answers. And so I think the biggest concern in the region, Saudi Arabia and the rest of the country, will be the safety and security of Syria inside. How to get the different actors together, how to have an inclusive policy together to bring all the Syrian different players and parties together. As you know, Saudi Arabia in 2015 and 2017 have hosted the Syrian opposition conference in Riyadh, and that have led to Riyadh Declaration, which really set the ground correctly for all the Syrian opposition of how do we wish and how do we see the future of the Syrian in precise. Yes, he came out and he talked about the development and the requirement. He talked about his childhood in Saudi Arabia and the way how he saw it when he was a young child. He talked about the relation and the necessity of going through a constitution and state building, which is all highly appreciated and it's all very much welcomed. I think he did receive enough and good endorsement as of today by the big neighboring country and also by the international power. We are at a monitoring stage now to see and monitor how things will progress there. We hope and we will, that the Syrian people will respond positively to all the things that he said, and we hope he will be able to get the big conference that he promised. For all to have an inclusive of all the Syrian inside and outside, to talk about the future of Syria, whether it's a constitution, a state building, relation of the neighborhood, relation of the external power that exists in Syria, like Russia and the other, the economic development, to treat the suffering of the people. They went through 50 years of a tough life in Syria. We all sympathize with them.
As Al-Shara said, that liberating Syria ensures the security of the region, the Gulf and Syria, for the next 50 years. What do you make of these comments?
I think he meant that Iran presence by using sectarianism as a tools of regional expansion and by endorsing certain militia, because Iran always wanted to deal with militia, but not with the state as a state. I think today they have a chance, honestly, in Iran to come out and say, as Assad used to say, or they used to say, we have been in Syria because we were invited and we were asked by the Syrian regime. Today the Syrian regime is no longer there. So it's better they come out clearly and said, listen, we're no longer needed there, at least to have a safe facing device, in a way, to leave some margin for a future reasonable relation to the Arab country. As he said, with no interventionist policy, with no imposing of any sort of ideology to the people in the Arab world and in Syria in particular. So if Syria settled today, if we are sure that the Iranian presence has been eliminated and out of Syria today, the rest of the country can enjoy a better, peaceful and security in the region, as there's nobody using sectarianism as a dimension, supporting militia and expansionist policy in the region.
Many observers have noticed with which speed the governments of the region responded to Al-Shara just days after he took control of that situation in Syria. We all know that some of these governments were suspicious of parties that could possibly have succeeded Assad. If you could explain to us why there was such a change regarding this situation. Was it a principle basis? Did you think that Al-Shara was probably the right man to make this change in Syria, in your opinion?
Well, first, we were all happy to see Assad is out and the Syrian people at least feel the freedom from such brutal regime that have really suppressed them for 50 years and so. Al-Shara, I think he came out quite clear in a lot of his statement. He addresses the subject quite clearly. I think he did speed up the release of the prisoner and opening the jails and release people from that one, and that more than 50,000 people, they were still inside there. I think he sent a clear indication of normalizing a good relation to the neighboring country, which is very important. He sent a clear signal of his future plan, which include, as I say, the constitution and the inclusive policy of all parties. He did talk about the Kurd, Qasad in in Syria. And he also talked about a good neighborhood with countries like Lebanon, Jordan, Syria. So all the positive messages that he have sent, it did give a good indication, and it gave a very positive signal to the neighboring country to send their ministers or special delegation, to meet, to ensure what he have said is going to be implemented, and to also ensure that we want to see safety and security, because you can't move toward development and reconstruction and rebuilding Syria if there is no safety and security. So first you have to bring safety and security. And to achieve that, you're going to need the consensus of the people, you're going to need the people's support and endorsement of such things, and you're going to need a proper steps that he takes to ensure certain things.
So I just want to ask one thing. When we're looking at Saudi Arabia, will they be looking to invest in Syria to ensure things like security in the country and development? What do you think the future plans are?
You know, the Israelis have destroyed, unfortunately, most of the Syrian military capability. But so I think what is required now is to ensure building up a security, internal security capability, to make sure that all the different provinces from the north and south and east and west, are secured, and there is a good law and order. So policing, Coast Guard, domestic security to ensure a good judiciary system to be implemented. People, they need to feel they will not be taking for, like what they used to do with them before with the Assad regime. But at least, there is a good judiciary system, there is a good law to be implemented, and there is a personal safety. This will ensure the return of all this, people that they were forced to go to Jordan, Lebanon, Iraq, Egypt, Turkey, and all these places, the return of these people. But yet, to have the return of these people, they need a lot of special preparation also to be able to welcome them back.
Thank you so much for speaking to us, and also Happy New Year to you. Thank you for your insights. Thank you. I really appreciate it. That was the chairman of the Gulf Research Center, Dr. Abdulaziz